This week on Inside the Headset, we are featuring San Marcos High School recruiting coordinator and offensive coordinator Marvin Nash. Coach Nash offers the value of building relationships, highlights the adaptability of the recruiting process, and shares the importance of being present in your current role. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Change the game. It's not just words. It's what we do every single day, regardless of sport, regardless of skill level. Field turf was built on innovation, dating back to our invention of long-piled infield turf, which revolutionized the industry. Today, we offer a series of game-changing fibers, high-performance infills, sport-specific applications, and smart field technology. And we've done our homework, thoroughly testing all our products so that they offer leading quality and safety. We invest in quality materials, quality manufacturing, and quality teams to deliver sustainable services supported by the industry's leading service team and best insured warranty. We design and manufacture the canvas upon which your program's history will be written. Our team of over 800 employees is made of ASBA certified field builders, civil engineers, designers, and more. We've built over 20,000 fields worldwide for organizations at all levels. As a member of the Tarkett Sports family, Field Turf is a global leader with unprecedented financial support and experience. We can offer a variety of surfacing solutions through our family's leading brands. From running tracks to tennis courts, indoor gymnasium, and hybrid or residential turf, the Tarkett Sports family has the right system for you. Field Turf. Let's change the game together.
Coach Marvin Nash, what's going on, my friend?
Not much, Coach Price. Very blessed to be here with you, man.
Well, thanks so much, man. I'm super excited about having you on. I've kept up with you over the years, met you a few years back, and have watched you move around and not only move around, but just grow into this guy that is connected, with high school, college coaches all over the country, man. So really excited about having you on. And with that being said, one of the first things I ever known about you was basically your passion, not only for coaching but for teaching as well. I know you spent some time coaching special needs and working in the special education department at some of the high schools that you worked at. And one of the things that I heard you say in the past was it's to know every child, every athlete, not just by name but also by need. What does that mean to you, and how has that affected basically your progress as a coach?
Well, Mario, I mean, for me, it is based on personal experience. When I was coming up as a youngster, man, I was in a single parent household. My mother was an educator, and she really, really focused on knowing every child, knowing what they need, and it helped her have a fantastic career. When I got to high school, I was in about the 10th grade, and she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And so, this is my rock. This is everything that I needed growing up, who taught me what's right, what's wrong, and how to do things. And when she got sick, that really, really affected me, but I never showed it. Us as men, we always feel like we have to have that stone personality, and can't be too high, can't be too low. Well, I was at my lowest point at that point, and it was the coaches that I had interacted with growing up. One in particular, Bill Goffney. He saw I was in trouble. He saw I needed help, and he was able to identify what that need was, even though I wasn't speaking it, even though I wasn't properly communicating what was going on with me. And that resonated with me the rest of my life. I mean, it really put me on a path where I could have gone either way. There was a fork in the road, and it led me to go to the path that I'm on now. And so from that point on, that was what I had to do. If I saw a kid that was struggling, if they were really, really quiet, if they were acting out, I always tried to find out why. So maybe I could just make some type of difference in their life. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but at least I put the effort into it.
Amen, Coach. That's what this profession is all about. And I mentioned that you spent some time coaching teaching special education. And I know been in those type of classrooms at times can present some very unique opportunities, not only for the student, but also for you as a teacher. And I'm sure you've learned some life lessons that you've been able to maybe take to the football field and reevaluate how you teach and how you nurture and how you take care of your young student athletes. You got any examples of anything that you learned in that special education classroom?
Absolutely. I had a young man at the high school I was at, and they age out of the system at 22 years old. He was about 19 years old, and had some really rough emotional problems where he would act out and get violent. And what I found was that there is no one way to deal with students when they need help. There's no one way to coach an athlete when they need help. I took that to the football field with me because you could be firm, you could be a little boisterous sometimes, or you could be a little kinder and a little softer and gentler in your approach, but it depends on the kid. Right. And so the biggest lesson I learned from that was it doesn't matter the size of the kid. If they are in need, you find a way to reach them. And it's the learning style. It's not everybody responds to yelling. It took me a while to figure that out as a young coach, that just because I have all this energy and I have this loud voice and I'm always hyped up on energy drinks and everything else, the right approach to every athlete. Sometimes you have to talk a little kinder to them, a little softer to them. You have to pull them aside to teach them. Not everyone likes to be talked to in a big group. You may have to call them off to the side. Right. So I learned that with all these different personality types in the special needs classroom, we're not that different. When we get to the football field, everyone has a particular way they like to be coached, and that became one of the first things I did as a coach. When I'm introduced to a new position group or new kids or a new cycle of kids come through my school, one of the first questions I ask them is, how do you like to be coached? And then I make sure I adapt my style to them, and they don't have to change for me because I'm helping them mold. They're not necessarily coaching me. I'm coaching them.
That's awesome, man. That's it's really great that you put it like that. That you adapt to them because that's what you get paid for. You get paid to coach those young man up and get the best out of them. And having a cookie cutter approach certainly isn't always the right answer. So, Coach, I appreciate that. Now, speaking of needs of young people and young student athletes, this last year has been absolutely bananas with the COVID situation and in and out of school, killing off a lot of recruiting, in-person recruiting, things like that, and it's presented some unique situations. And as a recruiting coordinator, and I know we just had signing day here this past week. What are some unique things that maybe have come across from this unique situation that we've been in, something that you've had to change or adapt to, that you liked or that you might continue to carry on?
I think the biggest thing is the use of social media. I mean, it already had become a social media recruiting market, but the fact that college coaches were in the dead period, and still in the dead period now, can't step on campus to see your athletes face to face. Just doing everything to bring what they would see in person to life for them, via video. One of the first things I did was have them stand in a doorway. Let's get their wingspan, let's get their height, or have them stand next to me. I'm 6'1", about 240, so they can measure based upon my accurate measurements how large the athlete is, all the measurables. And then really what I did, I reached out to some guys that I knew at the FBS and FCS level and said, hey, coaches, what are y'all looking for? I know you can't get on campus. What can help you do your job more efficiently? And of course, every college coach, man, if you can help me recruit a little bit better, absolutely, I'll tell you what I'm looking for. And so I had a list of drills, position specific, and I actually compiled those in a Google Drive. And I went through and filmed every athlete, put together a full profile for them. I learned how to use iMovie so I could put together this really direct film. And so for a guy like me that's not super tech savvy, I had to get outside of my comfort zone because it's bigger than just what these kids can do for us in the fall. It's what we can do for them for the next 40 years. So we're trying to help them find that 4-year decision that makes that 40-year decision even better for them. Absolutely. And so that's where it began. Right. It's gone to from now. That was back in March. It's almost been a calendar year. We've gone to recruiting profiles, digital recruiting magazines. I've used Twitter to promote in every way possible. And opening up that line of communication helps a lot. With our kids now, I mean, they understand what it is. Their coach, can you get my picture? Can you get my profile ready? And now it's just a well-oiled machine. And I don't see that shifting anytime soon. I think it's an easier way for us to reach college coaches and an easy way for college coaches to get the info that they need.
Yeah, that, it's interesting. I've talked to a few high school coaches here. Ironically, that all the other two were both recruiting coordinators at their respective schools as well. And one was in Florida, the other one's in North Carolina, and they all mentioned about iMovie. This is the second time that's popped up. They all mentioned about just recording these athletes and getting a lot more measurables for the coaches and being able to kind of compile that. And they all like being able to do that and maybe we'll carry that on in the future, even when coaches are able to get back on campus. So that's great that, we can find some silver lining in this situation. Now, what advice would you give to coaches who might be struggling to get their athletes, recruited, noticed, all that good stuff? The reality of it is, it's easy to, and I say this as a former college coach that's recruited the state of Texas. Man, I had Dallas-Fort Worth. That was easy. I mean, I could hit 11 schools in a day. I walked in and guys handed me the packets. I knew about every last kid. All of a sudden you end up in New Mexico or, Arizona, where everything is in this concentrated in one area. When you have a recruiting area, some of these other places, a lot of other places are just so unique. What advice would you give to coaches that, could help them publicize and market their athletes a little better?
I think the biggest thing that helped me when I was first getting started was asking for help. Just reaching out and asking other coaches that I was able to partner with a buddy of mine, Justin Grandinetti.
Mm-hmm.
We put together during the quarantine time something called the Recruiting Athlete Evaluation Station. And so we came up with this cheesy name for it, but basically we hosted a 2-hour-long show where coaches would come in, promote their athletes. They all got about 5 minutes. We had coaches from Alaska, from Maine, from Florida, Texas, all over, who would come in and put their information out there. We recorded the sessions and we sent it out to everyone. It's just a collaboration trying to get help for people. The other thing is to don't be afraid of just good old organic hard work. I went through just building a profile list that I update daily now, but as coaches move around. But once I get a contact at the school, I filled out a spreadsheet, and so this is from NAIA, D3, D2. It's easy to find the D1s online, but finding all these other guys and just find a spreadsheet, send a personal email, and just introduce yourself. And so it's a lot of work in the beginning, but it ends up opening up these doors for you. So now it's not just trying to get your athletes noticed. You have a personal relationship. And, in this business, relationships are everything.
Amen. Amen. Now, real quick, I want to throw it back to 99 and 2003, right? You were at Austin College. You played ball there, Division III opportunity. Having that personal experience playing Division III football. I said this on a podcast maybe last week or a few weeks ago. I talked about, if I talked to Marvin Nash in 1996, the sophomore that just got on varsity, hey, where do you want to go? University of Texas, Texas A&M. I'm sure you had that ultimate dream school. And Austin College probably wasn't on the list, but now, I'm sure you got so many memories, so many, great things about it. A ton of teammates you keep up with. How do you continue to promote that? Division II, FCS, Division III, NAI. How do you promote those levels to those high school kids that, obviously all of them aren't going to be able to go to the FBS level? How do you promote that, especially having that background and experience?
Oh man, it was again, I was one of those kids. I was like, man, I'm going to A&M. I'm playing for RC Slocum. Like this is doing. And getting that the experience of walking on campus and feeling like feeling big time.
Right.
Coach that was recruiting me told me, "Hey, man, big time is where you're at. It's not different. Like just because it's Texas A&M doesn't mean that's the only big time that you can be. Big time is wherever you make it." And that kind of resonated with me. I said, "Man, I get the opportunity to come in and start as a 17-year-old freshman in college football, and I get to play 4 years and." I get to get all these great wins that we never had in the program's history, and I get to be a part of one of the historic teams in the past 150 years and be recognized with that. Of course, we didn't know any of that was going to happen.
Right.
But when I took the opportunity, it was the best move I'd ever made. These are lifelong friends I've made forever. I can call any of them right now at any given moment. And, some of them are FBS football coaches right now. I've actually helped kids get on as preferred walk-ons or get partial scholarships to different schools based upon the relationship I had with that coach being college teammates with him. And it's one of those things where you have to get kids to look past the logos on the shirt and see what do you really want in life. Again, it's a 40-year decision, not a 4-year decision.
That's awesome. Well, Coach, you just joined that San Marcos staff, and you were able to reunite with Coach Walsh and Coach Vallejo. And these coaches you have some history with. How did you guys go and adjust and reinvent that offense to fit, your student athlete that you have there at San Marcos?
Man, it first of all, it's just awesome to get the opportunity. Coach Walsh gave me my first job as a middle school coach way back in the day. I had the opportunity to coach with his son was actually a middle schooler at the time, and he went on, of course, to play at Oklahoma State quarterback, and he is coaching in the college ranks now. And just that relationship we made, man, it was unbelievable. I learned. I was a defensive guy coming out. I was a linebacker, played a little strong safety, and now I'm an offensive coordinator. It's one of those things where he taught me everything from the ground up I needed to know about offense. And what we did coming in was just evaluate what we had, which San Marcos is not traditionally known to be a football powerhouse. But when you see the athletes here, you see that there is so much potential that has just been untapped. And so Coach Walsh is creative, man. He's one of the most creative minds I've ever been around offensively, formationally, with QB run game. The read game is unbelievable. And I bring a little different background because I moved around a bit. With some air raid pass concepts and a way to make it multidimensional, where it's not just 2x2 or 3x1 sets. We can get into any formation you want and run what we want. And just the blending of those, man, with my good friend Lee Vallejo, who's he's a quarterback genius. In the past 15 years, he's never coached a quarterback who has not gone FBS, which is
wow.
That's a track record like no other. And we have another one that in my mind will be an FBS quarterback. He played for us as a 6'3", 205-pound sophomore. So we have a lot to look forward to with that. But just being able to blend our minds and work together, and the consistency that we have of working with each other, being able to understand what we're seeing and we can all see it through the same lens. It made it a no-brainer to take this job, and I see nothing but bright future ahead for San Marcos.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, let me ask you this before we close this podcast up. You mentioned that as a middle school coach, you work for Coach Walsh. Now, I'm sure between that time and now, you've went and taken several other jobs. You kind of moved apart from Coach Walsh. To any young coaches listening to this podcast, which I know we have a ton of young listeners, when you start, you don't have that dream job, right? It just is what it is. You got to be a GA. You got to be a middle school coach. I started as a middle school coach myself. How important is it to be good at the job that you have and not worried about the job that you want? Because clearly, how you handled his young son, how you handled that middle school program, pay dividends for you in the future, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. The thing is, I think it all goes back to that D3 mindset, man. Big time is where you're at. So that Tuesday night 7th grade B team game, I mean, that was our Super week. Right. We look forward to it. Yeah. The kids work so hard, and I think that's even now. As if I'm coaching JV or freshman, on a Thursday night and the coaches are trying to run the clock, I am livid because these kids worked hard all week and they deserve their time.
Right.
And that, it's the same mindset. You approach every job the same way every single time, whether I'm an FBS coach, whether I coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, whether I coach for the 7th grade B team down the street. I'm going to approach it the same exact way because it's important to these kids and it needs to be big time for them. That's how you grow the love for the game. It all goes all the way back to being who you needed when you were younger. I had a coach that treated me the same way when I was a little chubby 7th grade B team player, and it helped me see what I could be and not what I was right then.
That's right.
So for our young coaches, man, I will say this: I started my job as the assistant laundry guy. I wasn't even the head laundry guy. I had to go help the laundry guy. You take your role and you do it to the best of your ability, and things happen like that. You know, who would have known way back, 15 years ago, I would have been a seventh grade coach. Coach Walsh would have moved me up through the system. He would have gave me his blessing to go on to be offensive coordinator and assistant head coaches at other programs, and then called me to come back to help him start things here in San Marcos. Who would have known that? It's all work ethic. That's what leads to your success, 100%.
No doubt, man. Well, I say, a lot of the other things that you mentioned in the podcast, the passion for young people, development, being that person that, that you never had or that you needed, being that for these young athletes, if you're in it for the right reasons and you're doing the right things, that career trajectory will take care of itself. Oftentimes we get caught up in the rat race and, football scoop, what's going on, let me check the job board and all this kind of stuff. But bottom line is you just be where your feet are, do a heck of a job, things will take care of themselves. Coach Nash, I sure appreciate you taking the time. Would love for you to leave your social media. Just if any coaches who don't already know you, I know you know a ton of them already. Anybody that doesn't know you, they can reach out to you, ask any questions, and connect with you.
Sure. Please follow me on Twitter at iCoachNash. I'm also, I have my 30 for 30 personal development podcast available on Apple Podcast, available on Spotify. And it's just an introspective look at coaches telling their journeys. So please give that a listen if you can as well. And I appreciate the opportunity, Coach Bryce.
Coach Nash, thanks again. And we will make sure to link all that in the show notes. Until next time, appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. Take care.